Who are you and what is your job?
My name is Josh Schmitt. My payroll title is a Recreation Services Coordinator. I operate like a Director of Safety and Security for the City of Madison Parks Division. I oversee City Park Rangers, the aquatic section, all of our boat launches, disc golf courses, and dog parks, and all of public safety in the city parks.
Great. What is your educational background?
I have an associate's degree in liberal arts from Madison College.
What were the steps you took to get to where you are now?
My initial career was in construction and construction management, worked my way up to superintendent. Obviously, I was out west, Oregon, Washington, making quite a bit of money out there, but not very happy. So on a whim, out there I was also working and volunteering on the Pacific Crest Trail and in the National Forests out there. On a whim, applied for a park ranger job and took a $30,000 a year pay cut. Got that job and really loved it and parlayed it into a career.
Excellent. What are the pros and cons of your job?
Well, the pros, I'll start there. Being an idealist and somebody who cares about people and places and public land, I get the ability to protect that, protect public lands and connect people to it, and also hopefully inspire a couple of people to get careers in public land and public land enforcement.
Excellent. Where do you see Wisconsin parks 10 years from now?
Well, I can comment on the city of Madison. When you try to do a 10-year projection, you tend to look back 10 years and try to figure out what the trend is. And the trend we see in Madison for the last 10 years is a huge investment in our public lands. Madisonians have said that they deeply care about their parks, their open spaces, and are willing to invest in them. So we've seen a lot of new parks go in, a lot of existing parks get new additions, new shelters put in. We've seen a huge public investment, and I think the next 10 years are only going to see a higher level and more improvements.
Great. What does conservation mean to you?
Conservation to me is really about inspiring people to connect with their lands. We live in an urban environment. Most of the people in the country live in an urban environment nowadays. That world's not real. That world is what we created it and what we surround ourselves with. People too often forget what the real world is. The real world is trees, the real world is prairies, the real world is birds chirping. That'll be here long after we're gone. And our open spaces, our public lands here, they connect people to that. And people need that. People need to, see a beaver working on a pond. They need to see birds flying in the sky. They need to see an eagle soar. That's real. Conservation is reminding people that that exists and that's in them and they need to respect that.
Well said. If you could work for any other federal agency that shares the same values and beliefs as you do, who would it be?
Having worked in Wisconsin and Oregon and Washington for most of my career, I'd choose someplace warmer. I would choose someplace where you don't get stuck on a traffic post for 3 or 4 hours at a time in 10-degree weather when you can't move to get warm. It would likely be, someplace. I'm thinking Caribbean. I'm thinking White Sand Beach. It would be great. There's a lot of people down there and a lot of people that need to learn to respect their public land. So.
Great. Do you have any advice for people like me who are trying to get a job with the Park Service?
The advice that I would give you is that you guys are doing the right thing by getting your education out of the way. There's a lot more to it. Education will give you the background, but there's a lot of connections that you're going to have in order to move forward in your career. I got it. And got to be willing to adapt to change, obviously. So What I can comment about in enforcement capacity and what that means, and what we look for when we hire, is that you look for an education, but what we're looking for is somebody who knows their values, who knows who they are, and what they believe in, and is willing to invest their time in your cause. It's not easy being where we are. I mean, you work in remote locations for horrible hours for shitty pay. That's the connection, that's the reality of it. In a lot of positions that you'll work for the National Park Service or for the State Park Service, you start out as an hourly and you start off making $13 an hour. And you're going to do that for a few years before things start opening up for you. One of the biggest traits that I think has made me successful and has made a lot of people that I've trained successful is their ability to take the situation they're in, realize that there is something to move forward to, and pick themselves up when they fall down. That resiliency, that ability to lose and yet still say, all right, I'm going to get up and try again.
Excellent. If you were to have one personal achievement every day at your job, what would it be?
Well, I'll speak again about Brittingham Park. My biggest achievement here, that I feel, because my goal as a manager, my goal as a ranger here is to, provide for safe public spaces. Brittingham Park, is over near West Wash and Park Street, and 10, 15 years ago, it was a lot of people had given up on it. A lot of people didn't feel safe in it, and working with the neighborhood, we had a really involved neighborhood association over there, and South District Police, and to promote the positive activities in the park. We got a boat rental business to go in there, Brittingham Boats, and a community garden to go in there, and then we as enforcement went in there, and anybody who was in violation got a ticket. What we took was essentially a desert, someplace nobody wanted to go into, and brought it back. The neighborhood was over there every Saturday morning for years, conducting trash cleanups and just having a visible presence in the park. The police were over there on foot patrol 3 times a day. My people were over there 3 times a day, so you always saw a uniform over there. If you went to that park, you always saw somebody that cared. When people care about the lands around them and they don't give up, that's the resiliency that brings a park back. And what we see over there now is, you saw the people come back. You saw families starting to have picnics there. You saw people using the athletic fields over there. You saw a lot of positive activities starting. The volleyball courts over there, the sand volleyball courts over there are amazing. You won't see that kind of sand anywhere. So with that, people started coming back, and then the public, the legislative branch here saw that, and they invested in the park. You saw the ADA accessible playground that just went in over there. You saw the shelter lighting get all replaced, the roof get replaced over there. That park looks great now, and if you go over there today, you feel safe walking through it. You are safe walking through it, and you want to spend some time there, versus 15 years ago, you wouldn't want to.
Sure. What is the number one thing you love most about your job?
I can back up. I think I missed the question on that. So if I could have that kind of feeling every single day where I made a difference in people's lives, every single day, I'd go to sleep happy.
Great.
So the next would be
the number one thing you love most about your job.
Is that connection to the people?
Sure.
Is that inspiring people? Honestly, what I love most about my job is training people. I have trained a lot of rangers that have come through Madison here. A lot of them have gone on to be police officers. A lot of them have gone on to be rangers of other locations. Some of them honestly have completed their training, or just about completed their training, and said, you know what, I thought I was going to go into this. This is not for me. This is not what I want to do with my life. I'm going to go be a florist, or something like that. That's important, that self-reflection.
Great.
If I had to look at what I like most about it, is connecting that person with who they are and getting them to know themselves and getting them to make decisions.
Excellent. Are there any entry-level opportunities in the local area that come to mind, places that would help students build experience so they can get their foot in the door with the park system?
The city park system, I hire probably about 10 hourly rangers a year. Hourly rangers start out for me, right around that $15 an hour mark. Madison pays pretty well comparatively. And you go through our Ranger Academy here, which is an in-house, training program that we have, and you learn, a lot, frankly, about what it means to be an urban ranger. That opportunity, we have a lot of attendant opportunities. We're sitting in actually the Goodman Pool over here. I have a lot of lifeguard opportunities. I hire about 110 lifeguards a year. In addition to that, what I would encourage people who want to come into the ranger field and want to get some experience with dealing with people and dealing with emergency situations is go volunteer for your local fire, your local volunteer fire department. They're always hurting for volunteers. It's a great opportunity. I did complete my EMS training with Madison College, and those skills are valuable everywhere you go. When you complete an EMS training, you get to add yourself to the National Registry. So everywhere you go, you are recognized. Your training is recognized.
Sure.
And if you go, say, I think you had mentioned Austin, Texas a little bit earlier, they require all their rangers to be EMSB, EMTB trained. So that's a good place to get your foot in the door. Volunteering for Ice Age Trail, Friends of Cherokee Marsh. There's a lot of organizations around here, and sadly, a lot of the people that volunteer with them are, retired folks. I think that if I have any message for people going through education, people, the younger generation, is that y'all need to get off your video games and get out into the parks a little bit more and meet people, learn people's names. We put on tons of volunteer events all throughout the city all year, and get off your couch.
Back to human interactions.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, lastly, is there any quotes that come to mind pertaining to conservation and how you feel?